Hi there, it's time for the Aries September 2020 tarot reading and forecast. I'm Nigel Saint James and it's great to see you. Welcome back to the subscribers. It's always good to see you. And of course I've met some of you, haven't I, for personal readings during the course of the last month. And if you would like to have a personal reading, just check out the information that's in the description box below and you can see how easy it is for it to happen. But anyway, let's get things underway, shall we? This is the month of September, the equinox month, and here is a card. Actually, this deck developer has provided a card for Aries, so I'll show it to you when we do the reading, when you come around here and have a look at the cards. But let's see what there is, shall we? And start to take things. This is what? The Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups. Aries, good things in store for you, I think, Aries. Always great to see you for Aries September 2020. Now, let's have a look. This has come out, whatever that happens to be, at the bottom, and so have they, in an avalanche. There's the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Cups. How extremely interesting. We shall see what they have to say in just a moment. Here is the Six of Coins. It usually has a very good energy associated with it. I can feel it building now, but of course I'm not going to give anything away just yet. We'll have to go through the reading, shan't we? And what do we have here? There's the Queen of Coins. This is an interesting deck. It's an independent deck. I think it's out of print now and will never be printed again. So you will have the opportunity to see what it has to say for you. And finally, it has the Ten of Swords. Interesting. All right, let's now come around here, sit down next to me, have a good close look at these cards while I do the reading for you. Fantastic, Aries. Let's have now. Look, I thought I'd show you this card only because the artist has, unlike many decks, put in a card which is an Aries card. Now, the zodiac signs do all have cards in this deck, but I haven't dealt them in. Maybe another time I will do. But I think what this card is saying here for you is this. And I'm just looking at it, and the energy is saying that, well, you know that Aries is the soldier, the ram, the fighter. And if you want to talk about hard-headedness, then we should talk about the animal that uses its head as a weapon. But Aries is also about being reckless, stubborn, and unstoppable at times, isn't it? It's also about competition and victory. And it's about the libido and sex life. And it's about the self. Its motto, I suppose, is I am, and there is nothing wrong with that. The energy that I'm getting from this card for you this month is this, and then I'll take the card away because I'll get onto the tarot section of it, is that I think you now need to show some bravery and go into battle. Think strategically. Yes, this is a time, I think, for you to take the initiative to pursue what you want and go to war over your ideals and your values. Well, there you go, Mr. Ram, you go up there. Now, looking at these other cards that are here, let's have a look. The Eight and the Seven of Cups, this Ten of Swords. Interestingly, sometimes the Ten of Swords can have a bad rap. I don't think it does. Now, the Ten of Swords, esoterically, earth and air are enemies and they weaken each other. Now, swords is the suit of air, and this Queen of Coins is earth, and this Six of Coins on the same line as earth, and what they're doing is that they're pushing this card away. This card here is the Lord of Material Success, and the Lady Queen here speaks very much of success and things turning around and things moving forward. But I think there are a couple of items coming up with this Seven and Eight of Cups first, which may have led at some stage to some some thoughts about items in your life. This Ten of Swords, incidentally, before I deal with it in some detail, this is the Sun in the third decan of Gemini. Now, the third decan is that 20 to 30 degrees of a sign, and it's starting to weaken and become changeable. Gemini is a mutable air sign, and the sun's rays get scattered by the frivolity, by the million ideas at once going on in Gemini. So it's about focus and about the mind, and perhaps where you've lost focus, but we'll get to that in just a moment. It's on the way out, I have to say. Let's deal first, though, with this card here, which I like, and it is the Seven of Cups. Come here, Seven, let's have a look at you. Do you know, in the suit of cups, we look at strategies to try and get our emotional needs met. And this Seven here, the Seven incidentally is ruled by the planet of Venus. Very feminine energy around this. This Seven today is about dramatization, making things larger than life in a sort of mindfulness training. There's a movement called I think it's Hatomi is the name of it, or Hakomi, Hakomi, the Hakomi system. I think that they refer to that as the hysterical clinging strategy. Now, the hysterical part is the amplifying of emotion. So I think your emotions may well be up, and the clinging is the underlying desire to avoid separation. Although hysterical is generally considered a bad term, there is nothing wrong with being expressive or flamboyant. The problem arises when you must get theatrical in order to be seen or heard. Indeed, this is part of the genesis of that strategy. When you know you are loved and accepted as you are, you don't need to put on anything extra, do you? When you do get dramatic, it's often like a child pleading, "Don't leave, stay here and watch me, watch me." We want something to be seen and mirrored. Part of the healing is to cultivate a compassionate witness. Now you can notice what you're wanting and hold this in a loving way. You can also learn to be more straightforward, to ask for what you want without having to whip up your feelings or exaggerate your needs. Now, I suppose there is a popular term called drama queen around, popular in the sense that it's well known. And I guess sometimes a drama queen can be seen because such a person wants and reflects a desire to be treated in a special way, perhaps to feel important. Now, one way you can feel bigger than others is to make your drama bigger. If what is happening is bad, it is the most tragic anyone could experience, and if good, it is the most superlative and wonderful thing imaginable. There is nothing ordinary for or about the drama queen except the underlying needs, which are universal. So look for these tendencies here, remembering that they may appear in a subtler form than that which I have described. Now, if you do find yourself in this pattern and are not comfortable with this, there are ways to work with it. One is to feel what motivates your behavior and deal with the underlying needs. Another is to become a better audience for yourself, holding even the smallest feelings with respect and compassion as well as objectivity. Another strategy, I suppose, that can be helpful in the interpersonal situations is to notice when you are dramatizing and lighten it up by making it humorous. Have a joke even at your own expense. When you can see the drama as drama, you are not caught in it anymore. Then life can settle down and you can enjoy the simple things again. I will say this about this card, that the astrology is Venus ruling the third decan of Scorpio, and in a sense I call this the Lord of illusory success. Venus is the planet of love, and Scorpio is all about intensity and drama, in-depth transformation and exploration of the self and others. Well, because I also have Venus in the number 7 here, mystically, Venus doesn't have any handbrake applied, and Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. Now, remember I said it's Venus in the third decan of Scorpio. So Venus can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they can be channeled into negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio. And it can imply that you might indulge in excess reactive behavior, right? Drama, to something that has affected you deeply and maybe changed you in a way which has thrown up its own set of problematic issues. But that's just something to be aware of there. I know you'll overcome it. These things could have been playing on your mind, but these are on the way out. Let's have a look at this card here, because this is following it in a suit. That's what the back of the cards look like, incidentally. Let's have a look at this one, the 8 of Cups. Can you see that? It's pretty hard to see, isn't it? Sort of looks like a face to me. Now, with this energy here, my concern is that it is about becoming over-involved in doing things. Our experience of being can get lost when we put too much emphasis on doing, whether in work or in hobbies, activities, or achievement. Instead of being a human being, you become what some have called a human doing. Right? Now, this pattern can begin early when, as children, we feel that the only thing that brings attention or is praised is what we can do. And the message that comes across to us as little kids is that our value is related to accomplishment, and that gets deeply embedded in our consciousness. So we can become industrious, over-focused as a sort of a strategy, and that's characterized by working very hard and resisting distractions, which is possible for you at this time. Now, under stress, people with this pattern work even harder. They feel great pressure to perform and to make things perfect. Are you going to be feeling like this at this time? They stick like glue to a task, when what is needed is to be able to leave the task and to regenerate. Because without this regeneration, those who are over-focused burn out. And when you focus excessively on accomplishment, you are sometimes too busy even to feel. This may be one motivation that keeps the strategy going. If you are a compulsive doer, you may be afraid of feeling empty inside or feeling emotional discomfort. The busyness keeps you from noticing how disconnected you are from yourself, from your soul, and from others. Well, that can be a lonely existence, avoided by frantic activity and focused work. Of course, this emphasis on accomplishment and staying busy are totally reinforced by industrial cultures, particularly in the West, whereas, because we see in many companies, employees are expected to routinely put in more than 40 hours a week, very often taking work home. Even school children are weighed down with classroom assignments and homework and extracurricular activities. As a culture, we have gone so far into doing that we seriously neglect being. This results in a mechanical nature that is portrayed in this picture, I think, here, where these things are lined up as sort of automobiles. I think it's a good time for you now to look at your relationship with doing. Remember to include not just paid work, but other activities as well. Some people become compulsive about housekeeping, don't they? Or about gardening, where there is always more that can be done. Now, it's not that these activities are bad. The question really is, you're using them. Are you using them? Do you get nervous if you suddenly have some free time on your hands? Are you afraid to stop and feel? Do you use activity to cover up a sense of emptiness or disconnection? If you sense that doing is disconnecting you from being, then it's time to stop and tune in again. Now, as if to reinforce this context of doing that I see in this energy here, the astrology of this card is Saturn in the first decan of Pisces. Saturn, which is about order, rigor, moving things forward, lining things up, doing things, structure, organization, discipline, heavy energy, responsibility. And Pisces is spiritual, involved in fantasy and emotions. Well, the danger is that Saturn can deaden completely the water of Pisces, and Saturn dominates and suffocates the joy of Pisces. And there is also in this number 8, here for me mystically, the planet of Mercury, that very flighty planet. So the overall influence represents dark Saturn with no growth. And Mercury is also in detriment in Pisces, so we have conflict here as well. In a sense, there could well be a feeling that you want to take on activity because you feel as if there is some stagnation, that you are, in a sense, maybe even denying yourself pleasure. And sometimes, despite this doing attitude here, there can, as a reaction to it by your spirit, be a lack of get up and go, which is sometimes a reaction to feeling empty or without anything to fulfill you. It's time to consider yourself, set some limits and say no. It may be an old behavior pattern to always direct your love also to people from whom nothing comes in return. And this may be a sign indicating your fears of accepting love here. What people come to mind for you in that context? Are you ready to dare to set limits and stand by them? And in what situations do you hide your true feelings? You'll get through this. This is a good card, just something to be aware of. Now, I spoke earlier, didn't I, about this 10 of Swords, and let's have a look at the 10 of Swords. I told you also, didn't I, that it is the Sun in the third decan of Gemini, and with the problems of focus that come about with that. Well, the number 10 also is the beginning of a new pattern. The 10 of Swords is here, I think, for you in this position about mental patterns, although you must remember that mental patterns also involve feelings. Thoughts precipitate feelings, and feelings themselves generally have an element to them where you have to use your mind to interpret what they mean for you. A feeling comes into focus within a particular context that gives it meaning. Thoughts, feelings, and self-images are all things to do with mental patterns. Now, to understand how we free ourselves from patterns, we must understand, I guess, how we get stuck in them. Patterns are like mental grooves. You know those old vinyl records that used to have the grooves in them? Well, the more often your thoughts and feelings go down certain channels, the deeper those grooves become. You think the same old thoughts and have the same old feelings. The deepest of these complexes is sometimes referred to as your story. Because you have run this story again and again, it is not just a groove, it's more like a pit, a giant hole you can easily fall into. The further you fall into the pit, the harder it is to get out. And being aware of when a particular sequence first starts allows you to avoid automatically falling into the pattern and to find other options that you can pursue. The pattern has ended when no longer do you fall into the pit, but rather negotiate your way around it. Awareness then is crucial. You must become like a detective, finding the precise connection between your feelings and the situations and thoughts that trigger them. Often these thoughts happen beneath the surface of consciousness, so you must pay close attention to discover them. Once they become conscious, you can shine the light of objectivity on them. With compassion and objectivity, you begin to see how many of your self-images and beliefs were drawn from early experiences and are no longer true, even if, well, put it this way, to the extent that they ever were true, because generally they are not. But this energy, which can sometimes be a bit downcast, is moving on. Incidentally, this 10 is the energy in the tarot is about to devolve into the Ace of Discs. But here's the Lord of Material Success. Let's have a look. See, and this is pushing all that bad energy away. Well, when I say bad energy, it's not really bad. It's energy. And see what this has got to say. Hello, Lord of Material Success. Now, what's really good about this card to start with is the astrology, as I see it, which is the moon ruling the second decan of Taurus, that fixed decan. Now, in ordinary astrology, the moon is also exalted in Taurus, which is a great sign. But the moon is transient, isn't it? It waxes, becomes full, it wanes, and disappears, and it comes around. So it says to us that successes, your success that you might have, could be short-lived. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, because success is not a continuum, isn't it? You have a success here, you have a success there, you have a success there, you have a success there. Well, the moon likes nurturing and comfort. And Taurus likes material things, so they are well suited for bringing material success here to you. The moon here nurtures the material desires of Taurus. So I see success, generosity, paying it forward, possibly receiving a financial boost of some description. Maybe even a gift is coming your way. I think there's a very good chance that anybody who's applying for a grant or a scholarship could well get that. And if people are having anything to do with the welfare system, I think the welfare system is actually going to come through and the decisions made for you are going to be favorable. Be open to your success. It is no less than a gift you can learn to accept thankfully and humbly. Real success only comes once you have learned to serve. Now, success under these conditions enriches all levels of your being. What does success mean for you at the moment? Visualize as precisely as possible what your success looks like. And have this thought in mind. My self-acceptance and self-confidence are the keys to real success. And here we have the Queen of the Suit. Let's have a look at her. Come here, madam. There she is. Interestingly, I have Capricorn and Sagittarius around here. They're people I think who are going to be important to you during this period. She is the queen of the thrones of the earth. Now, as a court card, it can represent either gender, but I'll refer to it as a woman for the obvious reason, and it represents somebody I think who is ambitious, affectionate and kind, charming, timid, practical, quiet and domesticated. There's an ambition here, but there is a time, I think, here for you to work with instinct and intuition rather than with your intellect. Now, I'm not saying you don't have an intellect. What I'm saying is that don't overanalyze things. Don't rely on the intellect at this time. Really, really make use of experience and really make use of your gut instincts here. These are going to get you forward. I think you'll be hard-working and practical. Sensible is what I see here. You will, I think, possess the finest of the, and interestingly for you of all people, but I think you will actually during this period possess the finest of the more quieter qualities, you know? And I think that you might, in a reticent and unassuming fashion, be really quite lusty, sexy, and have a high drive in that area. Now, it's possible here also that you could have a tendency towards maybe over-drinking. Just be careful of that. I have nothing against alcohol or drugs if people want them, but just don't let them throw your life off balance, because this woman, it seems to me, can also, the energy that I'm getting up from her, be somebody who can enjoy alcohol and drugs as a way of, almost as if it's because they are the only way in which she can actually, by getting out of herself, she becomes happy rather than being happy with herself, whereas you have every reason with this card and these to be happy with yourself. Yeah, that's the message that's coming through to me from her. I think you will have a practical and compassionate nature and a nurturing attitude towards others during this time. And I also think it's very important for you to have a nurturing attitude towards yourself during this period. And kind of go with the flow is what I'm getting. No Russian Bolshevik revolutions at the moment for this month, please. I think this woman here also represents health and diet is what I'm getting here. So you should probably have some thoughts about those things. I think you have been through something of an arid stretch on your journey. This is something quite arid in the background here. And you're now arriving in more fruitful surroundings. Now you can rest and devote some attention to yourself and your physical needs. And maybe ask yourself, in what ways have you neglected your body or your outer self? Do you indulge yourself? Devote more attention to your health and physical beauty. Mind you, it seems a strange thing because the Aries woman is absolutely gorgeous, but don't rest on your laurels. So have this thought in mind. I give my body the gift of loving attention. It gives me the gift of life, energy, joy in living and in health. What a particularly interesting month for you. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go. September 2020, another month and a step closer to the end of the calendar year. Let's all keep our spirits up, shall we, during this time. I think there's some aggravation yet to happen, but you are going to be fine according to that reading, and that's the most important thing. And in any event, I want you until next month to remember one thing always, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.